OREN looks like he used to be a cheerful music lover, but now his head seems to be covered in rust, and his gaze is frozen on the verge of anxiety and fatigue. In horror mode, his eyes begin to vibrate wildly in time with an invisible music, and his headphones hum, unleashing low-frequency waves that make the walls tremble, musical style, drum. Raddy looks as though his body has survived a brutal massacre, and he's still standing, feeling no pain, only emptiness. In horror mode, his eyes begin to spin, the tubes in his head slowly extend outwards, and a raspy whisper emanates from his mouth. Musical style strikes on iron. CLUKR looks as if it were crafted from cold metal and pain, its eyes filled with frozen horror and its mouth slightly open in a silent scream. In horror mode, its metal hat begins to spin, emitting a grinding sound, while its body trembles as if something inside is trying to break free, intensifying the oppressive sound of metal against metal with each turn. Musical style, musical plate. FunBot looks like it was once a good-natured assistant, but now its screen is more like a blank, watchful eye, scrutinizing everyone who approaches. In horror mode, its monitor begins to distort, freezing on disturbing images of unknown origin, and a muffled, mechanical voice whispers meaningless phrases as if trying to recall its forgotten purpose. Musical style, collection of noisy sounds. VINERIA looks as though her body has merged with the wilderness, her eyes forever frozen in a deathly rapture. In horror mode, her green hair writhes like living vines, and dark flowers bloom, releasing a thick, suffocating fog from which the whispers of long-forgotten voices emerge. Musical style, the sound of trees. Gray looks as if his gaze is caught between madness and innocence, while his crooked smile conceals something better left unknown. In horror mode, his eyes begin to expand to unnatural sizes, and the shadow behind him takes the shape of writhing, clawed hands that move in sync with his quiet, serene laughter. Musical style, vibrating phone. BRUD looks like his face is frozen in a mad, strained grin, with one eye hidden beneath a massive blade, as if he himself has become an instrument of something terrible. In horror mode, his smile begins to widen, cracking his skin, and the bucket slowly descends with a screeching sound. Musical style, synth. GARNOLD looks as if his screen once broadcast kind images, but now it has turned into a distorted window behind which something terrible is hiding. In horror mode, his single eye moves convulsively, and from the dark corners of the monitor, toothy silhouettes slowly appear as if something inside the screen is trying to break out. Musical style, relax music. Ready for a challenge? According to statistics, only 3% of viewers manage to like the video and subscribe to the channel before the timer runs out. Write a comment if you made it in time. OWAKCX looks as if his body has long since lost its connection to reality, leaving behind only empty eye sockets and an unnaturally stretched smile. In horror mode, his detached eyes begin to rotate on their own, emitting a piercing screech, and long writhing spikes grow out of his gaping eye sockets, reaching for the victim. Musical style, sound of pyrotechnics. Sky looks like its light essence was torn in half, leaving one side of the face empty, a cold husk. In the horror mode, the body begins to slowly disintegrate in the air, becoming a swirling fog, and a soft, drawn-out whisper is heard from the gaping void in the skull, as if something is calling from the depths of non-existence. Musical style, xylophone. Mr. Sun looks as though his light has long been extinguished, leaving only an empty mask of despair against the thickening darkness. In horror mode, his rays begin to tremble and stretch like charred fingers, and his face slowly melts, dripping black liquid as if the sun is fading forever. Musical style, electro piano. DURPLE appears to wear apathy like a mask, concealing an ancient bottomless darkness. In horror mode, his third eye slowly opens, emitting an ominous light, and the air around him begins to warp, as if reality itself cannot withstand his presence. Musical style, saxophone. JEVIN looks like his face is a glitched-out image, frozen on a screen that transmits nothing but emptiness. In horror mode, his silhouette dissolves into the shadows, and static noise transforms into silent screams, slowly filling the space with icy terror. Musical style, a choir of horror. Mr. Fun Computer looks like a harmless old monitor. In horror mode, its screen starts filling with glitching symbols, and its colorful propeller hat slowly rotates on its own, emitting an unpleasant mechanical screech. Musical style, bagpipe. Mr. Tree looks as if his ancient trunk has absorbed darkness, and his countless eyes watch everyone who dares to approach. In horror mode, his bark begins to move as if something inside is trying to break free, and his huge central eye opens completely, emitting a suffocating, ominous shadow. Musical style, organ. Simon looks as if he doesn't understand how he ended up in this state. His naive gaze contrasts with the wounds covering his body. In horror mode, his antenna begins to flicker with a disturbing light, and his eyes widen to unnatural sizes, reflecting something that should not exist. Musical style, groove box. Tunner looks as though he's watching from the depths of empty eye sockets, his silent grimace a promise to see everything hidden in the darkness. In horror mode, his mouth begins to expand, revealing an endless blackness, and from under his hat, a whisper is heard, impossible to decipher, yet it sends shivers down your spine. Musical style, guitar. Wenda looks as if her white fur is a reflection of a forgotten ghost caught in endless terror. In horror mode, her body becomes translucent and her eyes slowly freeze in a vacant stare, while vague, pale silhouettes begin to appear around her, observing from the darkness. Musical style, crying child. Pinki looks as though her pain will never end. Tears mix with blood, and her open chest reveals a fragile, trembling heart. In horror mode, her eyes turn into bottomless pits from which darkness seeps, while her ribs slowly shift as if someone inside is trying to tear her body apart. Musical style, female choir. Black looks as if his silhouette is a collapse into reality, a darkness that swallows everything around. In horror mode, his eyes slowly invert, becoming two bottomless pits, and his tie and hat tremble as if he exists outside the laws of space. Musical style, choir.